Hello and welcome to this new episode of Open Book Entrepreneur. Today we have Mike all the way from he is basically traveling around the world, but originally from Canada, as far as I remember. Yeah, and Mike is a coach, and then also he is running an agency as well, marketing agency, and has a ton of experience in understanding Google Ads. He was running different agencies in the past. So yeah, Mike, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hey everyone. Yeah, thanks Tony so much for having me. I probably would have years ago, I probably would have identified myself as an agency owner. That was my primary business for the first 9 years, and I didn't do anything but running campaigns, Facebook and Google stuff. I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine who I thought was like a brilliant business guy about pricing for something he was trying to do, a workshop he was doing. And his price was like literally a tenth, 10% of what I thought the price should be. And that conversation sparked this like, wait a minute, do people not know how to price what they're doing? And that idea turned into more conversations. That turned into a coaching business, which I've run for the past 4 years. So I would say, kind of multifaceted. Got this new agency launching. My feeling on it is like I love when I have a business that's bringing in like a service business that's bringing in a bunch of revenue. My coaching or my consulting doesn't have to make any money. That actually, to me, makes it so much more powerful when I don't need customers, when I don't need people to say yes. It lets me be very selective. It lets me bring the right people that I want into the room. So I'm rebuilding an agency to kind of structure that in my life again.
Totally, yeah. I mean, you're 100% right there. I mean, I've been coaching for since 2011, so many, many, many years already, and I had the privilege to work with some phenomenal people, in sport and business and other things, and what happens is that it's really important that as a coaches we work with clients that actually inspire us, and then we also inspire them, because I think that's the vibration that brings the fastest results in a shortest amount of time. What's your opinion on that, please?
100%. I mean, I think whether you're a coach or whether you're leading a company, the idea of lead by example is so critical. And I think on coaching, whether it's I've got this other business or like I'm going in and doing this deep work, I'm learning about this other stuff. I'm going in like dropping into a 1 week silent retreat to like see what expands in my mind and then bringing those lessons back. I think this idea of like practicing what we preach is critical. And if you sit on like, well, I know enough and I'm just going to stay here, it can work. But I think there's a level of stagnation and makes it hard for you to like up level the people that you're speaking with and like help people in a more profound way.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, for first few years of my career, I was actually every year going on this event with Tony Robbins, where we actually walked on fire and did a lot of other crazy things, which really like made me understand and believe that we can do many things when we actually remove the limiting beliefs in our mind. And then I really started like expanding on that and finding out how to actually remove the limiting beliefs really quickly and deeply, because a lot of times when we sort of peel off the layers, there's many layers left underneath. So,
So
what's
many.
your opinion on that? Like in terms of when you're working with your clients, for example, do you look at the strategy or mindset or combined, or what do you think about that?
A little bit of both. For me, I would say because of my experience in marketing, like we ran campaigns for, Volvo trucks, global food brands, and we weren't an agency that exclusively did like massive companies. We did a lot of small companies as well. But I was always the guy where like I would be in the room, right? So I'm listening to big picture strategy presentations, learning about how things worked, the results from this and that. And so for me to just go in as mindset kind of to me would leave my customers a little bit lesser, right? So I would say 50% consulting. Like if I see the path for you, let's just go down the path. But equally, making sure that that person has the confidence and belief in themselves, whether it's through some exercises, whether it's through, but I think really important with the mindset stuff is getting the person to get there on their own. being the guy, you telling the person, yeah, you're worth it. You can charge more, you can whatever. That means nothing. You need to create that like aha moment where they're like, wait a minute. Oh God, this is worth way more than I'm charging. Like, yeah, I gotta fix this. Then you go into the practical. So I think it's, unlock with the mental and then drive down to the practical.
Totally, totally. And on top of that, something I read the other day related to mindset, obviously, is motivation. And I read this quote. It was saying basically, motivation. People say motivation doesn't last. Neither
Mhm.
does showering, but we do it every day. So, what's your opinion about motivation in business and in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think discipline is more important than motivation because there's going to be a lot of moments. Like one of the first books I read getting into business was Darren Hardy's The Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster, which is about like the emotional highs and lows and the depression and like the craziness that comes with you being the boss and your decisions, like making or breaking, winning or losing, right? That's super stressful. So I think for me, it's like when you feel sparks of motivation, like go. Like if you feel like working all night till 5 in the morning because you've got this spark and you're building something, forget your day tomorrow. Like just stay up until 7 a.m. finishing something. Who cares, right? But equally, there's going to be days where you're like, I just want to curl up in a ball and watch Netflix and sit on the couch. And that's where the discipline has to take over because the truth is, if you don't do it, probably nobody's going to do it. And then the business is dead. And so what I see a lot is like people doing the easy work, the busy work, the like making their product better work. And I'm like, cool, you got to go sell something because if the money doesn't come, then the business doesn't exist. So like, let's, get that going. And that's where most people feel the discomfort. And so that I feel like has to be just driven by discipline. Like these 10 things have to happen every day or else the business dies. And if that doesn't motivate you enough, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I one of the first things that I sort of, especially when I'm working with like smaller businesses, because they most of the time didn't really work that out. Focusing on the profit making activities, this is really what makes a difference. And I seen that, because as you said, a lot of people are actually getting busy and like, trying to look like they're working on something, or maybe even, thinking that they're working on something, but this is not actually bringing the results. And when the business is
Yeah.
small, when it doesn't have a cash flow and profit, it's super important to actually sort it out first, and then
Yeah.
sort of that's the mask. That's the mask that they're talking about. Like when you're on the airplane, put it first on yourself. Well, if you're running a business, first protect the business, and then everything else matters. But then
Yeah.
also we have to make sure that we protect ourselves, because a lot of times, even if you're just busy or focusing on profit making activities, it can be really hard. Running a business can be really hard for a lot of different reasons. Yeah. And I know when we were in the green room, you mentioned that you actually had some difficulties on your own. So, can you please share that with our audience a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So here's where it stems from, and I've done a lot of deep work through psilocybin, through breath work, through hypnotherapy. So I'm like off the deep end with practitioners. My business coach is a $30,000 a year. Like we've never talked about business once in the 6 months we've been. She's like, "Yeah, what are you trying to do? How much money are you making?" Okay, cool. Your childhood was this, and it made you think about that. Like, okay, let's go do that first. Like, we don't talk about business at all, and so my core belief for a very, 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 very long time were two that really hurt me. One was if it's not difficult, it's not real. So if I was in flow, if things felt simple, then it wasn't a real thing. So it wasn't a real result. It wasn't real life. It wasn't possible. It was just like, no, no, this has to be hard or it can't be anything. The other piece was the mindset that I had or the thought that I had was like, I'm not the guy that gets those things. So I looked around, I saw successful people making money, buying this and that, doing whatever they wanted to do. And I was like, oh no, I like that's not me. I'm not the guy that gets the nice things that runs a profitable business, that whatever. And so what happens is when you hold those beliefs, whether they're just in your subconscious or you're aware of them, um, what ends up happening is you do a lot of self-sabotaging behavior. You will make things more complicated than they need to be. You will procrastinate on following up with a great opportunity, or you just won't even believe an opportunity is real because you're like, yeah, too good to be true. I don't get that type of thing. Like, and so you pass up on good things that can happen to you. And what happened to me is like this combination. And what's funny is over the past bunch of years, I've been aware of it, but haven't been able to get past it, which is even more annoying because you're like, okay, don't do this activity that you know is going to sabotage your profit. And then you do it anyway. And you're like, how did I just do that? Because your subconscious is just like, no, no, like this is our belief system. So we're going to find a way to break through. So I looked back and, I've worked since I was 12. I got my first job when I was 12 years old. I worked at a gun club. Um, that was in 1999. It's 2025 now. Other than 2012, when I got married, I took 3 weeks when I was working a corporate job. I took 3 weeks on my honeymoon. I haven't taken a week off work since, other than that one patch of 3 weeks, because of this belief system of like things have to be hard or they're not real. And like you don't deserve it, so you better keep scraping by or like making it happen. So I came up against like an incredible amount of burnout in the last year. I had like seven different like financial catastrophes happen back to back, from exit tax from Canada to, someone I knew not paying me $42,000 that they owed me, to just one thing after another, super crazy. And I like got hit with this wave and I just kind of tapped out. Like I was in a toxic relationship. I lost myself. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I kept getting close to launching something and just like letting it die. And I just like, I had no motivation to do anything. And I think this pressure that I had on myself, because like, well, who's going to come save you? You better do it, kept me in this like hyper tension state for quite a while. And when I landed here in Vietnam, I just was like, I'm not going to do anything for several months. And then when I get inspired to do something again, I will. And not everybody has the luxury to just literally do nothing for 3 months. And to be honest, with all the crazy financial things, like I was like, geez, am I going to have to like pull money out of this in this place where like it's going to end up costing me a lot to do it? Like it was really crappy, but I also didn't have any energy to do anything. I look at my computer for a few hours a day and click around, end up on TikTok. Like I was doing nothing and then feeling guilty about doing nothing. And it was this like death spiral. And that lasted for quite a while, including like some pretty intense depression through the end of last year. So I had like probably the hardest year of my entire life in the past year. It's been crazy.
Wow. And you also mentioned like on a positive side that you're a member of the mastermind. Can you tell us, what's your opinion about being in a mastermind and how is it beneficial for someone?
Yeah, for sure. So it's actually my mastermind. The reason I put it together is I'm in a few other ones and I just don't like them. Same thing with like hosting events and entrepreneur dinners, which I've done in like 8 different countries around the world. Like I just don't like how other people do it. So I'm like, if you want the party of your dreams, host the party, right? So for me, it was like, who do I want access to that I would have to pay quite a bit of money to get access to, but what can I bring in value to them for it to be worth them to come and give me this energy and attention? So I put together a group of 7 guys. The name is Business Guys Doing Business Things, just because it was funny. We meet once a month, and it's like our all of our favorite calls every single month. Everybody is has been earning or currently does or has in the past earns at least $500,000 a year in their business. They've operated their business for like more than 5 years. So it's like more seasoned. We've been through the waves, we've been through the storms, we've made a bit of money. Because even if right now I'm, starting something closer to new, like I'm gonna ramp up faster than a rookie because I've done this for 13 years. So yeah, just bringing that expertise together and like having them to bounce ideas off of, looking at marketing, looking at the way that we're doing our offers. Like there's just so much wisdom in a group of other entrepreneurs that like for me, being the host of this thing, like I now get, a ton of great consulting, free ideas. What I would have to pay thousands of dollars for someone to look over for me, they're happy to do it because I do it for them. So we all bring a skill set to the table and we all solve each other's problems.
Great. And if someone actually watching this episode or listening to us is interested to get in touch with you or find out a little bit more about you, how they can do that?
Yeah, so if you want to see kind of like the stuff that I'm working on, you can go to mikemoll.co. It's got a link to, my podcast, my newsletter, my agency, the mastermind. It's kind of like a here's all the stuff I'm doing. I've actually narrowed that down and deleted a lot of stuff from my life in the past few months as well, which is nice. But yeah, there's a link to the mastermind group from that page, but it kind of shows everything I'm working on.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, Mike, thank you so much for being a guest today. Thank you all for watching and listening to this episode. If you liked it, drop us a like, also subscribe. And on top of that, if you have any questions for Mike or me, just drop them down in the comments and we'll be happy to answer those. Mike, thanks again and see you soon.
All right, thanks, Tony. See you later.